Guy, how you doing Monday?
What's up? What's up?
You know what? We're not going to talk about it. I'm not going to. I'm sure you do have a broom in your closet or one in your garage, and
Swept.
Why would I ask you about that if
Swept
as a friend,
in Detroit and swept by the Red Sox? I mean, it's not good in the Bronx right now.
I mean, just seems like that offense once again showing it's just too reliant on the long ball.
Sputtering.
Look, I didn't want to say that. And, it's interesting because the Mets offense was sputtering in those first two games out at Petco. Also used to be known as Jack Murphy Stadium. I love the pods, the pods in those brown unis. They look great. But they found a way to actually split a series with maybe one of the best teams in the game. And as a Met fan, I actually feel better on a Monday than I thought I was going to. Anyway, but
coming off a good road trip, the Metsies,
Look,
feeling good. You got the stork back and the pigeon is about to come back, which is
Who's
good.
The stork again? Who's the stork?
Well, this real stork was a guy named George Theodore,
right?
If you remember, that was
yes.
who collided with Don Hahn in center field in the early 1970s, and that really
forget.
Don Hahn was shaken, but George Theodore, I think he broke his hip. It was a tragic accident for the stork.
Yep.
It derailed what would have been a mediocre career.
Look, I mean, it might have the stork might have given us more. There might have been more in the Mets history books for the stork. By the way, let's not forget about the stork in Animal House. I think it was a key part of
excellent point by you.
Yeah. Okay, so difficult weekend in the Bronx. A pretty exciting turnaround in San Diego for the Metsies. A sad day for fans of 70s cop shows too today, because we've lost one of the great members of a ensemble for a cop show. I think maybe to me it's my top five cop shows, and there's so many that's actually saying something. But Link from the Mod Squad passed. And,
I saw that. The Mod Squad, I tell you, that was a show that was just like way ahead of its time.
It really was more of an early 70s show, maybe even was in the 60s for all I know, but around the time when there was a lot of social unrest in our country, and that was part of the reason of bringing these three people together, who, by the way, black guy, white woman, and they all work together, by the way, as an incredible cop team. But so what can I tell you? I liked it.
It was a great show. It was like, I think Room 222 was on around that time. Emergency Room
with Bernie. Bernie had,
as I mentioned. I mean, there's some great shows.
All right, right. So let's just rattle off a few of those 70s cop shows.
Of course, Starsky and Hutch. I mean,
you got to go Starsky and Hutch. Let's not forget about Telly Savalas. I mean, Kojak was a badass. Kodak was a badass. And then there were the ones that they turned into more comedies. I didn't love this one. But your boy Barney Miller was
never Barney Miller, although Abe Vigoda, Abe Vigoda from The Godfather.
All right, so forget outside of Tessio, give me Abe Vigoda's other defining role.
Abe Vigoda's other defining role, other than On the small screen. On the small screen, he was Fish. Wasn't there a show called Fish?
You don't need to go any further. He was Fish. He was Fish, and I believe, absurdly, that was actually a spin-off from Barney Miller.
100%. And the other one, obviously, I mean, you don't sleep on Streets of San Francisco with Carl Malden and Michael Douglas.
Carl Malden, when they took those hills in whatever they were driving, man, sure. I mean, that was some exciting car chase scenes. All right, so we've this has been fun, because I have to say those are some of the great memories I have as a kid. 4 hours in front of the boob tube. Cops and robbers. So Cops and Robbers today. Look, it's interesting to me that this AMC story and some of these meme stocks, the new wrinkle of the story is that this is really robbers running amok. In other words, bad actors in markets, AKA, or alleged to be institutional investors who are doing the little guy wrong in the form of naked short selling. So again, that's a particular issue that I think has been brought up, certainly been brought up in the last couple of days. We had an interesting convo on Fast Money about this. I guess the robbers are the hedge funds and the institutional investors. The cops, I guess, are the regulators who have not been patrolling the streets, much like they did in San Francisco or where was the Mod Squad film? Was that Chicago?
I don't know, but the Reddit WSB crowd are the vigilantes that are taking matters into their own hands.
So like the Charles Bronsons of the world, Dog Day Afternoons. Yeah, right. Okay. Which wasn't Charles Bronson, which was Al Pacino.
No, which Al Pacino and John Cazale, but that's
of course. That's for another show. It's for another. That's for another. So what do you think about this? I mean, do you think this issue has been confused here, or do you think this is a really important dynamic?
I think they're so misguided in who they think the villains are here. It's.
By the way, listen,
you tried to bring that up on the show last week.
Well, you're significantly more respectful than I am sometimes to our audience. Meaning, I think you don't take anybody for granted. You're never desultory, etc. So. But it sounds like you think that. So again, I'm leading with that because that's just not your way. Do you think these guys have it wrong?
Yeah, I do. I don't know who they're mad at. I mean, all the people like the Rich Greenfields of the world are just trying to point out faulty companies, and and at a certain point, it's going to manifest itself in the stock. I mean, they're not trying to get over on the retail trader. It's never been about that.
Yeah,
but you know what?
I agree.
If that's the flag they want to carry, I mean, if it helps them, galvanize their group, that's fine. I mean, everybody needs a rallying cry. I just think that they're lining up behind the wrong, the wrong thought process. But maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea. But it's working for them. Yeah. I mean, they've created a legion of people, and they've done it on the back of what they perceived enemy out there. Sometimes you need that perceived enemy. It's like Don Quixote-ish. Yeah, sure. Trying to come up with a Quixote reference. I don't have anything good, so I'll Sancho Panza.
Well done by you.
Anyway,
I think. Look, as an investor, I don't want naked short selling going on out there. I don't want folks manipulating the market. I don't want hedge funds with an edge. I don't want there to be, trading on inside information. I want, it's tough enough with markets as efficient as they are. So, I think it's really important to identify the issues. And what I did say on Friday's show that might have, stirred up a little rancor. Is that I said I don't think short sellers are after the retail investor.
No.
I think short sellers are after a bad company. How they go about doing it, let's hope they're following the rules.
Right.
Shorting stocks is one of the hardest things to do in investing. And on our way out here, I mean, I think riding, patrolling those highways in California, those freeways, whether you're Ponch or John, is not an easy thing to do either. There's a lot of bad guys at every turn. So I feel like Chips might have, I think those guys might have had the hardest thing. I mean, they're just riding motorcycles, bro. I mean, they were out there. So
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Okay. All right, later. Bye.